You are officially Johnny Bravo, a muscular man with a giant blonde pompadour who wears sunglasses 24/7, the town's ladies' man, the symbol of 1950s masculinity, the guy every girl should want. Whoa, mama! Man, what an image of confidence. Too bad it's all a pathetic facade, a fragile mask hiding that you are, psychologically speaking, a grown man with the emotional maturity of a 10-year-old stuck in an infinite loop of rejection, maternal codependency, and loneliness disguised as machismo. Your life isn't the journey of a Casanova. It's a case study in fragile narcissism, fear of intimacy, and what happens when someone builds an entire identity based on a lie they don't even believe themselves. Let's start with the most obvious thing. Look at you. Giant muscles, bodybuilder physique, perfectly styled hair. You spend hours in front of the mirror flexing and admiring your own appearance. You're the definition of masculinity, right? Wrong. Let's talk about the truth nobody wants to admit. In the episode Johnny Bravo Goes to Bollywood, something is revealed that changes everything. That perfect body? You're literally fat. You mold your fat with your hands to look muscular. This isn't an athlete's body. It's an illusion. You are literally sculpting lies onto your own body. But wait, it gets worse. Let's talk about what you really are. Every single episode, you see an attractive woman and do the same thing. You approach, flex your muscles, say some pathetic pickup line like, "Hey there, pretty mama," and expect her to fall at your feet. Know how many times this works? Zero. Zero. You get rejected, beaten up, humiliated, or straight up ignored in literally 99% of your attempts. And that's not an exaggeration. Over 4 seasons and 67 episodes, you have a success rate so low that psychology experts have analyzed your character as a study in pathological persistence and inability to learn from negative experiences. You're not a ladies' man. You're basically what psychologists call a Casanova wannabe, someone who believes so deeply in their own fantasy of being irresistible that they ignore all empirical evidence to the contrary. This isn't confidence. It's clinical delusion. And here's the saddest part. In the rare episodes where a woman actually shows interest in you, like in Date with an Antelope where Carol genuinely likes you, or in It's Valentine's Day, Johnny Bravo, where a secret agent falls for you, you sabotage everything. Why? Because you don't know how to handle real intimacy. Your entire identity is based on the chase, not the conquest. When you actually succeed, you panic and destroy the situation. What an incredible stud, right?
Okay, let's talk about your typical day. You wake up, look in the mirror, say, "Man, I'm pretty," and go out looking for women to harass. That's literally your routine. You don't have a steady job, you don't have real hobbies besides staring at yourself in the mirror and working out. Your entire life revolves around getting rejected by strangers. And here's the existential horror. You never learn. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called negative reinforcement. Basically, when something bad happens repeatedly, you should learn to avoid that behavior. But you're immune to it. You get beaten up, humiliated, thrown in dumpsters, have the cops called on you, and the next episode you do the exact same thing. In the episode Freudian Dip, little Susie, a child with a psychology degree bought off the internet, psychoanalyzes you. And you know what she discovered? You have intimacy issues and fear of abandonment disguised as overconfidence. She was 8 years old and diagnosed you better than any adult ever could. But let's be honest about what you're really doing. You're not looking for love. You're looking for validation. Every woman you harass is a desperate attempt to prove to yourself that you are what you pretend to be. And when they reject you, which they always do, you simply reset and try again, because the alternative is admitting that it's all a lie. This is your own version of Groundhog Day. But instead of learning and evolving, you choose to repeat the same horrible day infinitely because it's easier than confronting who you really are. And there's more. You are aware of this. Throughout the series, especially in Freudian Dip, you show glimpses of painful self-awareness. You know something is wrong. You know you're not who you pretend to be. But instead of facing it, you double down on the act. This isn't funny. It's Greek tragedy disguised as comedy.
Let's talk about Bunny, your mom, the only woman on the planet who tolerates you. And now let's talk about why that's deeply disturbing. You're a grown man. You're, depending on the season, between 20 and 25 years old, and you live with your mother. Okay, that alone isn't a problem. Plenty of people live with their parents for various valid reasons. But the dynamic between you two? This is a textbook case of emotional codependency. Bunny Bravo does everything for you. She cooks, cleans, does your laundry, wakes you up in the morning, puts you to bed at night. In several episodes, she literally treats you like a baby, feeds you by hand, picks out your clothes, decides your routine. And you let her. In the episode Look Who's Drooling, when you're literally transformed into a baby, know what changes? Nothing. Absolutely nothing about your dynamic with your mother changes because you already act like a baby on a daily basis. And there's the origin of all this. In Freudian Dip, it's revealed that when you were a baby, Bunny would leave you alone in the dark when she went to watch her soap operas. You'd be terrified, imagining your toys as monsters. This gave you a fear of the dark that you carry into adulthood. You have diagnosable childhood trauma. But here's the darkest part. You and your mother have an almost possessive relationship. In the episode Bunny's Boyfriend, when Bunny starts dating a guy named Raoul, you lose it. You actively sabotage the relationship because you can't stand the idea of your mother giving attention to any man besides you. This isn't filial love. This is romantic jealousy. You treat your mother like she's your woman, and when she pays attention to another man, you act like a betrayed boyfriend. Psychologists have a term for this. It's called enmeshment, when the emotional boundaries between mother and son are so erased that the two essentially live fused together. You don't have an identity separate from your mother. Your entire masculinity is a reaction against this dependency. You flex muscles and harass women in a desperate attempt to prove you're a real man. But at the end of the day, you run home where your mama waits with dinner ready. And the terrifying implication? You'll probably never leave. This isn't temporary. This is your life. Forever.
Let's talk about Carl Kranisnaswix, your best friend. Except he's not really. Carl is an awkward nerd who idolizes you for no apparent reason. He follows you around, helps you, advises you, and does everything to be your friend. And you treat him like garbage. You call him names, push him around, use him for your own purposes, and constantly forget he exists. In the episode Carl Be Not Proud, you imply that you've been mistreating Carl for 2 decades. 2 decades. You've known this guy since childhood and have been abusive to him for 20 years, and he keeps coming back. But it gets better. In Freudian Dip, it's revealed that in school, Carl was the one who hurt you. Carl, the nerd, was your bully. You were smaller, weaker, and Carl beat you up. But as adults, the roles reversed. You grew up, got bigger, and now you're the one who mistreats him. This isn't friendship. This is a perpetuated cycle of abuse. You literally became your own bully. And Carl? Carl keeps coming back because he has his own issues. He's so socially isolated that he accepts abuse because it's better than total loneliness. You're not friends. You're 2 profoundly lonely people clinging to a dysfunctional relationship because neither of you can make real friends. And there's little Susie, the little neighbor girl who's 8 years old and more mature than you. She constantly saves you from situations, gives you advice, and acts as your conscience. You, a grown man, depend emotionally on a child. In some episodes, she even has a crush on you, which is disturbing in itself, but most of the time she treats you like the idiot you are, and you don't even remember her name right half the time. These are your only human relationships outside your mother, a nerd you abuse and a child who pities you. You don't have friends. You have people who orbit your disaster of a life for their own dysfunctional reasons.
Let's talk about the most disturbing thing of all, the truth you don't want to face. You know you're not irresistible. You know women hate you. You know you're alone. You know your life is pathetic. In the episode Freudian Dip, Speaking through a dummy because you're incapable of admitting these things directly, you reveal devastating things about yourself. You suck your thumb in secret. You kiss your pillow pretending it's a girl. You think of yourself as a little baby who needs everyone to think he's in control. You're afraid of the dark. You're terrified of abandonment. You know you're lonely and have intimacy problems. You have self-awareness. You know who you really are, but you choose to live in the lie because the truth is unbearable. And here's the final horror. You're never going to change. Over 67 episodes, 4 seasons, you don't evolve a single millimeter. You learn temporary lessons, but by the next episode, you're back to the default behavior. The show literally resets you every week. And the reason is simple. Changing means confronting everything you've built. It means admitting you've wasted your entire life chasing a fantasy. It means acknowledging you're profoundly damaged and need real help. So you choose the loop. Day after day, rejection after rejection, humiliation after humiliation. Because at least in this, you have control. You know what to expect. Rejection is familiar. Change is terrifying. You're a prisoner of your own persona, and you locked the door yourself.
So let's be straight. Why does it suck to be Johnny Bravo? It sucks because your confidence isn't real. It's fragile armor protecting an ego so broken that you can't even look inside without panicking. You're not a narcissist because you love yourself too much. You're a narcissist because you hate yourself so much that you need constant external validation just to feel real. It sucks because you're trapped in a sick relationship with your mother that prevents you from having any functional adult life. You'll never have emotional, financial, or psychological independence. When she dies, you'll collapse because you never learned to be a whole person alone. It sucks because you waste your entire life chasing women you don't even really want. You don't want intimacy. You're terrified of it. You want approval. You want to feel like the mask is real. And when you occasionally succeed, you sabotage it because you don't know how to be truly vulnerable. It sucks because you don't have real friends, just people you use or who use you in a dysfunctional dance of shared loneliness. And it sucks because you know all of this and choose to continue anyway. You have fragments of self-awareness, moments of clarity where you see the truth, but you always choose to go back to the lie because it's easier to be the fake Johnny Bravo everyone expects than to face who you really are. You're not a stud. You're not confident. You're not happy. You're a profoundly lonely, emotionally stunted, and psychologically trapped man who built a perfect prison for himself and called it a personality. Your life isn't the comedy. It's a tragedy where you're simultaneously the victim and the perpetrator. And the worst part? You'll wake up tomorrow, look in the mirror, say, "Man, I'm pretty," and do it all over again because that's what you do. It's all you know how to do. And you'll never, ever escape.